Welcome back to another episode of The Talk. If you are joining me today for the first time, my name is Daniela and I am the owner and head curator over at Knits and Doodles, which is a subscription box for new parents and their babe to get through year one together. And we are just talking today about the top 10 biggest mistakes that new parents make. A lot of my followers on social media are new parents, brand new, child one. And so I'm definitely here to answer those questions, just talk to you guys, and just share. We want to share and grow in our community and grow in our parenthood, and I am so here for that. So we're going to jump right into it today because I do not want to make this a very long video. And actually, just as a little side note, I apologize because I have been on a bit of a hiatus for the last 2.5 weeks. I'm crazy busy. We are stocking new boxes. We're actually going to be going into a bit of a relaunch. So we're going to be shutting down operations for the November box. So October, if you haven't ordered for October, you're going to have to wait. But I promise you that when we relaunch for the holiday, it is going to be something awesome. So just a little side note there. But yes, we're going to jump right into it. So top 10 biggest mistakes that new parents make. So the number one biggest mistake I think that new parents make is underestimating how much time you actually have. Whether you're on, a mat leave or you've just, you've taken some time off with your new babe, really the time goes so quickly. You blink and then all of a sudden they're teenagers and they're telling you off. It goes by really quick, you guys. And when people tell you that, time is a thief when it comes to your children, they are not lying. It is crazy. So within that, I think that sometimes we get so worked up about trying to do everything that we possibly can while we're on this leave. So every day you come downstairs or to your living room or wherever, you grab your coffee if you've had some time and you start making that list. And we are so anxious as parents to try to get this list done, this unrealistic list done. You need to do the laundry. You need to cook dinner. You need to make sure that the kitchen's clean. You need to do some yard work. The list goes on and on and on of the things that we want to get done. But I need you guys to slow it down and realize that if you get one thing done on that list, you're a bloody superstar. Okay? I can tell you with child number 2, there's not much I get done in a day. and I don't even have my eldest with me. She's off to preschool. She's having fun. She's living her life. So I am here. And, my little one, she sleeps and she nurses and all that good stuff. And you would think that, okay, she's going down for maybe like an hour or 2 hours. That should give me enough time to start, chipping away at things. It really doesn't. By the time you turn around, your baby's back up, they're crying, they want to be nursed, they want to be held, you should be playing with them, you should be taking that time to really just enjoy the fact that they're new, brand spanking new to the world, and that they're yours, and they're little, and that this time is going to go by so quickly. So for all of you moms and dads out there who are struggling to get through that list and feel like you're failing at parenthood, you are not. Oh my God, you're so not. You're doing an excellent job, because if you're not getting through your list, means you're actually spending time with your babe, and that's what you need to be doing. All of that stuff, the laundry, the kitchen, it's all still going to be there tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. And so, I know for some of us, myself included, because I get really worked up about things like this. I always feel like, if I don't do it today, it's just going to pile up, and then by the time I do tackle it, it's just going to be overwhelming. That is our life now. I mean, overwhelming, that's like the word of every day. So again, don't worry. If you only get through one thing in your list, you're doing so much better than you know. Okay, so the second one is definitely listening more to others than you listen to yourself. So I think I've mentioned this as well, because this is a pretty big one for me too. You are their parent. You know your child the best. You have instincts. Follow them. Follow your gut. And you will be just fine. Obviously, there's going to be things that you don't know, which kind of steamroll into number 3, which is please please, please, please don't become Dr. Google. Maybe you are actually a doctor or a nurse or a medical professional, but if you are not, just relax yourself with all the Googling, okay? Because Google can drive you crazy. All of a sudden, you think your baby has some unknown disease that takes 1 in 5 billion children, and obviously your child is that one. And, like, that's just not the reality, guys. The reality is that children get sick, newborns get sick, and it's heartbreaking, absolutely. And it is a cause of concern, 100%. But just like following your gut, you kind of need to know when the situation warrants a trip to the hospital or a trip to see your doctor, or maybe even a phone call to your telehealth line if you're in Canada. So, I know that it's so easy to pick up that phone or look on your computer and search your symptoms through Google, but I'm telling you that that will drive a person nutty. There's so much information on Google. It's not specific to your child. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it could be stating off and listing similar symptoms, but Google hasn't actually looked at your kid to determine that that's what's wrong with them. So, yes, there's easy things that we can Google, like, is this rash the right color? Is my child's poop the right color? Consistency? What is this a birthmark or is this a cause of concern? Like, so there's little things that absolutely you can go to Google for and give it a quick search. What they say, it's worth a Google, but don't become Dr. Google. This is not something that you research and then all of a sudden you're taking your child to the doctor and you're telling the doctor what's going on. You need to trust in the system and trust that the medical professionals are going to know what they're talking about. And if you doubt them because you're following your gut and your instincts, that's when you get your second opinion. But you're not relying on Google as your main source of how to diagnose your child and then how to treat them. So please don't become Dr. Googles because those people are the worst. So we're trusting our gut. We're not listening to what everybody else has to say. You're following your own opinion. You're really spending time with your child. You're not underestimating how much time or how much free time you really have. And so then that leads me to number 4, which is a big one. And I think it's one that many of us struggle with, and no one really knows the formula for how to fix this situation. And it is neglecting your spouse. I think that this is more of a mom problem. In my experience, it's been more moms who end up neglecting their spouse, and I am absolutely part of that problem. But absolutely fathers, if a father is a primary caregiver, and even if they're not, to be very honest, you can end up neglecting your wife as well or your partner. So let's just take a moment to think about this. So you've just had this beautiful new baby, you're so happy, you're so in love with your child, but what happens? What happens to your relationship with your partner? In my experience, it is very hard to balance the two. It is very hard to balance becoming a new mom and sharing all of those emotions, all of those feelings with your partner. And I don't know why. I really don't. I think, and I'll just speak for myself. So, when I had my first child, I felt kind of alone. I felt like everything was on me. It was my responsibility to make sure that the baby was fed, that she was happy, bathed, that she had everything that she needed. So, if she needed clothing or she needed whatever it was my responsibility to make sure that that happened. And even as she grew, I was still her primary caregiver because my husband was at work. So it felt still like everything was my responsibility. Plus, running the household. And running the household often involves running your husband or your partner's schedule as well, right? You're making those doctor's appointments. You're making sure bills are paid. You're following up with your bank accounts, or it's just a bunch of stuff. If you have a house, there's things to do in the house. I'm not just talking about cleaning, but I'm talking about like maintenance, right? You got to get your ducts cleaned, furnace checked, cha 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 cha. It often feels like a lot of that falls on whoever the primary caregiver is, which is often mom. And I know that we really had to sit down and think about how the division of care was working. So, what was his responsibility when it came to the baby? Was it that he was coming home and then that was his time? Did I need to give him some time when he got home, and then maybe, he would put her to bed, and then we could have some time together? You you really have to sit down with your partner early on and say to each other, I love you. How do we make this work? Because having another person in your life that takes up so much of your life and so much of your heart, it can get really sticky. And once you start neglecting your spouse, things can really fall into a downward spiral. You start to feel alone. If the female is experiencing postpartum depression, that can, throw it into hyperdrive as well. And I think we fail to remember that we didn't make this baby on our own, right? We made this baby together. And so the responsibility should be together, and we should be together to share in this familyhood, in our parenthood. So it's hard, ladies. I'm speaking to the ladies right now. It is hard. Sometimes we want to kill our husbands or our partners because we feel like they just don't get it. And that's completely normal. All of those feelings are completely normal, but we do need to make the effort. Sometimes we need to step out of the anger, step out of our own feelings, and think, how is our partner feeling? Is our partner feeling like they can actually get involved with this relationship? Do they feel like they are connected to this child? Because that's so important, and oftentimes, in the very beginning, especially the first 6 weeks, when it's really about mom and baby, and you're making that connection. So most often you're nursing, and so you're together 24/7. Baby's attached to you. It's like, how does your partner kind of squeeze in there, right? So you do have to make that available to them. You need to make yourself and your baby accessible to your partner so that everybody shares in that together. This is it's such a complicated relationship to begin with, but I promise you that if you take the time to sit down with your partner and really just kind of talk about everything, talk about how you're feeling, talk about how they're feeling, if they feel connected to the baby, how do we make this connection stronger? How do we share in that responsibility? What are you gonna do? What's their contribution to this relationship? I promise you that if you take the time to do that and speak like that to each other with no anger, no resentment, you guys will figure it out. Also, with not neglecting your spouse, is making sure that you guys make time for each other. So it's really hard, I can tell you, with 2 kids. And we don't really have help here. Like, we don't really have a lot of family members who can take our 2 young children. So it's hard. We don't get out. Our nights together are literally, like my eldest goes to bed and then I'm like, okay, wicked, like let's watch an episode of Flash or like something crazy. That's our date night. But that's our date night. And it's really important to us. It's really important that we put our child to bed on time so that we can take those 2 hours before we're completely wiped out to just sit, watch something together, enjoy each other's company, maybe talk, have a coffee, and just kind of enjoy each other's company, because that's what it's all about. We have to remember why we have this child, and we have this child because of our relationship. So please, 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 whatever your circumstance is, don't let each other fall by the wayside. You two are so important to this equation, and your baby, your children, they sense it. They sense it. And I think it's so important to show them from a young age how much you two mean to each other. Because they're going to take that and they're going to not only extend that into their future relationships, but they're going to feel more connected with you guys as their parents. And they're going to know, you know what, I feel safe, my family is together, it's all good. Now, if this is not your circumstance, because sometimes, unfortunately, we have children and then, the two adults will realize, like, this isn't working, we're not compatible. That's an entirely different situation, and, Godspeed to you if that is your situation. I am so sorry that you're feeling like that right now, because this should be such a joyous time in your life. But if that is your situation, taking the time to talk to each other to figure it out now is what you need to do. Don't wait until your children are older and put them through the ringer of your bad relationship. Figure it out now and do what's best, not only for your children, but for you as well. Because that's really what it's all about at this point, right? So, you've talked to your partner, everything's all good. Make sure that in that conversation, you're talking about how to share that load. So I touched upon it a little bit, right, with not neglecting your spouse, because that is part of it. And so sharing your load, ladies, also means letting your husbands or your partners be a parent, not just a babysitter. And so this is something that actually comes up a lot, and I am so guilty of this. Oh, are you doing it like that? Because you're not doing it right. Like, that is the number one buzzkill for any partner or husband just trying to get through the action with their child. Your way, mom, isn't necessarily like the be-all, supreme-all way to do that particular thing. If your husband, as an example, when I'm changing my child's diaper, I like to put the new diaper under first before I remove the old diaper, so that if there's any poop or anything falls out, it catches. Well, my husband doesn't do that, and it drives me nuts. Because then he's like fiddling around, he's got her legs in the air, he's trying to find all this stuff. Me, I have all my stuff around, the other diapers underneath, I'm like leisurely doing it. I have told him about this a million times. He still does it the way that he does it. And you know what? Who cares? Because at the end of the day, her diaper still gets changed, right? Right. You need to be able to trust that your partner knows what they're doing. Just like you have an instinct, they also have an instinct. And they're not going to do anything, as long as they're a good partner, that would harm your child. Because it's their child too. It is an extension of them as well. So please, moms, because I find that, as moms, and again, ladies, I'm not putting any judgment on you, because I am the biggest, this is my whole MO right here. I'm basically talking to myself. But moms, for the love of the gods, stop treating your partners and your husbands, Daniela, like they don't know what they're doing. Because the more we treat them like that, the less they will do. And then all of a sudden, we're pissed off because they're not doing anything, and we feel like they're not sharing the load, but we haven't actually allowed them the ability to do that. So, if you have a particular way of doing things, and dad or your partner has a different way of doing things, it's all good. As long as the end result is the same, and baby is happy, you're good to go. Okay, so for the last few mistakes, we're going to go a little quicker. So the first one is take naps. So moms or whoever is the primary caregiver, whoever's home with the newborn, take naps. I know that everybody says that, and then every mom looks back at that person and says, when am I going to take a nap? I've got all this housework to do. Da, 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 da. Okay, again, that housework, the laundry, the kitchen, the food, all of that will still be there tomorrow, the next day, and the day after. Take a nap. Even if it's just one during the day when your baby is sleeping, take it. It is so important. You have to remember, you've been up all night probably, you're drained, your body, if you're nursing, your body is making all of this milk, it's working on overtime, you need a nap every once in a while. So please, take a nap. Trust me, it's going to be the best thing that you've done all day. So taking a nap. The shopping conundrum. So with my firstborn, I went crazy shopping. Crazy. Like I was just buying everything, anything cute, making all these little outfits. Here's the reality, guys. The first 6 weeks, they need 3 sleepers. Literally it. Maybe a little, like a onesie and some like little jeans and a little sweater for like going out, you know? They're going to go out maybe once in those first 6 weeks. Let's be honest. So 3 sleepers, maybe 1 outfit. And then you can start purchasing things based on need and based on the size. But when you start buying things in advance of your baby coming, you don't know what size they're going to be. Oftentimes we buy them so far in advance that, you know, they come out, it doesn't fit, we can't return it, there's money lost, and that money is going to come in so handy a little later when if you have to buy formula, when you are starting to buy their clothing because, you know, now we're going out, we're moving around a bit more. Now you're going to need to buy clothing and you're going to buy it based on their size. But when you buy things far in advance, like I said, sometimes, oftentimes, it doesn't pan out. So wait to spend your money. Don't go crazy on shopping for your newborn because the reality is that they really don't need a lot. They need burp cloths. They need, you know, a few bath towels, a few bath cloths, 1 or 2 toys. Just keep them occupied. I love art cards because I find that that's a little bit more engaging. You know, like 3 sleepers, and you're good to go. Whatever was in your hospital bag, and you're fine. For things like skincare and stuff like that, I would maybe spend a little bit more on those items. So, for example, you know, organic bath soaps or like a really nice, you know, no scent, no paraben shampoo for babe, a little comb, little clippers, a nose Frida so that you can suck out all those boogers. Things like that is what you're going to want to invest in the very beginning. So just wait. Your babe is going to let you know exactly what needs to be purchased. So don't worry about that. And then second last, 2 more. So not keeping the memories. Not properly keeping them. So oftentimes, like we're taking a bunch of pictures on our phone. I can tell you right now, my phone has over 3,000 photos of my girls. It's ridiculous. Okay, but what to do with all of that? If my phone were to get stolen, I would literally have a meltdown. I think I would like cocoon and just be like catatonic. I would be so upset because there are so many memories lost. For the love of the Jesuses, purchase like a 64 gigabyte USB and just start loading the pictures on that. Every week, maybe, just try to load all your pictures on that and then walk around with it. Like literally have it as a keychain or keep it somewhere very safe because, again, you don't want to lose those memories. And then take that time to, you know, buy like a memory book or like a little baby book or something like that to just keep those things. So you print off a few pictures or, you know, they've got, they had their little hospital band, like things like that you're going to want to keep. You're going to want to look back at it. And I think it's such a beautiful little keepsake to then give to your kids later when they're older. Just as a side note and a little business plug here, the Knits and Doodles box, if you subscribe with us for a starter box, so 0 to 3 months, the box itself is actually a keepsake box. And so you can throw all those cute little things right in there. And we also do milestone blankets and milestone stickers, which are great ways for you to take those DIY photo shoots and get those milestone photos. So just a little plug there for you guys. But yeah, make sure that you're keeping those memories. Something that I actually started that I really love is I started a journal with my eldest, and every week I just kind of write to her about things that are happening, you know, what is she doing this week. And I think it's just going to be nice to give it to her when she's older. I'm going to try to keep it up throughout the years and hopefully give her like a stack of journals. And she'll just be able to read them and to see all about how she grew up and how I was feeling about it. And it's very real. You know, I'm not saying like, oh, today you were so beautiful, and it was like, today, Olivia, you drove Mama nuts. You were cantankerous, and you wouldn't stop crying, but I love you anyways, and we learned to count, and it's a very real. I'm not like sugarcoating anything for her, because I also think that it's a good learning. She could use it later on when she's having her first child and kind of see, oh, okay, like these emotions, everything that's going on, this is normal. So yeah, I really like that idea, and I'll share that again with you guys in a video. I'll show you my journal so far, and maybe we'll go through that box that I was talking about, and you guys will be able to see exactly how you can store those memories. Okay, and last but not least is the baby comparison. I did not breastfeed. Oh my goodness. I did not breastfeed. I don't know what breast meat is, but I did not breastfeed my first child. And to this day, I regret it. And I regret it for two reasons. So I regret it, one, because along with not breastfeeding, she was premature. She was 5 weeks premature. And I felt like the not breastfeeding her has only further stunted her development. And I say stunted because she's not stunted at all. My eldest child is wonderful. She's a very happy and active toddler. She's doing exactly what she needs to be doing. But in the beginning, and in fact, not even from the beginning, from 7 months to about 18 months, I was worried that she wasn't following the right milestones and she wasn't hitting them when she was supposed to. So there was that. And then my other regret with it was because I felt like she was always sick. So, breastfeeding, they say, really helps build up your immune system and gives you the right ingredients to help defend your body against any of those illnesses, right? As well as vaccination. Sorry, guys, but I'm a vaxxer. So, I definitely had, I had hard feelings towards myself about how my baby was developing because I thought that she wasn't hitting those milestones. Like walking, she started walking later than other children. I won't say most, other children. Talking, she started talking later than other children. And if I was a crazy person, I would be there comparing my child against every other toddler at her age and saying, well, why isn't my kid hitting this? And, your kid's doing this and my kid's not. And, I know for my eldest, her cousin closest in age to her, oh my goodness, her vocabulary is crazy, crazy. She's such a smart little girl, and her speech is excellent. My child is only now catching up to that. And I mean, her cousin is 3 months older than her, so at this point, so my eldest is 2 years, 4 months, and now I'm starting to see that vocabulary really blossom. Whereas her cousin was only, I want to say 2 on the dot, and maybe just a bit before 2 years old, and already had a really big vocabulary. And, I was worried, and oh my goodness, but every child is different. Let's say it again. Every child is different. Your baby might be 17 months and still crawling while there's other kids running track. But that's not your baby. And you cannot compare any 2 children. I can't even compare my 2 children because they are not going to be the same. They're not going to develop the same. They're not going to have the same milestones. They're not going to hit those milestones the same way. So please, moms and dads, stop comparing your child to other children. Your child is beautiful. Your child is so smart. Your child is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But you cannot compare them because you are going to take that comparing and you're going to take that into their older life, and that is going to hinder them. Embrace whatever milestone, whatever stage your child is at now, and just love it and nurture it and help them grow and help them develop. But don't sit there and say to yourself or nag them and say, oh, we got to be doing this, and oh, I got to change my routine completely because you're not hitting the same milestone. No, just relax with all of that. If your child is having a true developmental delay, there's definitely telltale signs, and that is definitely worth a Google, but that's something to talk to your pediatrician about, and they're going to help you figure out, what's going on. But even then, I would tell you to trust your instinct. Sometimes parents think that, okay, my child has a speech delay because it's 2.5 and they're not talking yet. Then they go and, they try to do all the speech therapy and all this stuff, and their child is still not getting any further ahead. And I think, personal opinion, is that I think sometimes those children really feel pressured and intimidated and overwhelmed by all of this work that we're doing on this milestone that they're going to hit eventually anyways. And I'm not saying, leave it until they're 5 years old and then, deal with it then. I'm absolutely not saying that. And again, I'm telling you as parents, you need to trust your instinct, right? But for me, as an example, when Olivia wasn't fully speaking at 2 years old, and when she wasn't, stringing 3 words together, and she didn't have a vocabulary of 50 words or more, which is what they say is supposed to be that milestone, I didn't freak out. I contemplated, because again, she has a cousin who was further ahead than she was, but I didn't freak out because I just felt that, well, you're eating fine, you're pooping fine, and other milestones you're hitting. You are social. I can see that she was trying to speak and she was starting to sound off words, and, when she was starting to point and she could tell me like what she wanted by her actions and her motions. So I said to myself, I'm just going to leave it. I did mention it to her doctor, who I have a fantastic pediatrician. Dr. Goldberg, if you ever see this, Dr. Norman Goldberg in Winnipeg, he is an excellent pediatrician. He's actually retiring, but he said to me, she's going to talk in her own time. There's times when children actually don't want to speak before they have mastered the sounds, just because that's who they are. That's their personality. They want to make sure that they master it first before they take it out into public. And you know what? I would put my child to bed and I would hear her in her bedroom, like talking up a storm, and she's babbling, and and that was her practicing. And now at 2 years old and 4 months, her vocabulary is awesome. Like, she's saying so many words, she repeats everything, she's just blossomed. And I am so thankful that I didn't have a freak out and, try to take her to speech therapists and, diagnose if she's got tongue tie and all this craziness. And I just trusted my gut that my child would get there when she gets there and in her own time. And she did exactly that. So trust that gut. Not every kid is going to develop at the same time. What to expect when you're expecting in the first year or whatever it is, will tell you they have to string together 50 words and 2-word sentences and all that. All of that is just a guideline. It is there as this is generally what happens. But general doesn't apply to your child specifically. So trust that gut. Know your child. You know them the best. And just trust that they're going to get there when they get there. But do not compare them to any other child, because they're yours and yours alone. So, with that being said, moms and dads, I am so out because my little one is going to be waking up soon. I definitely need a refill on my coffee, and I need to think up some new things to come and talk to you guys about. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please, please, please leave them in the box below. I hope that you guys are seeing that I'm definitely trying with this editing and production. I'm trying to get a little fancier. And by fancier, I mean I'm just trying to learn how to use this program. So I hope that this video came to you and much better quality than the last two. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Please like, subscribe, and follow, share. If you have not already followed me on Instagram, it is at Knits and Doodles, and Doodles is with 3 O's. And join us for the next time when I bring you another episode of Detox. Have a good one, you guys.